up, party people? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are testing out some more $1 makeup from Shop Miss A. Shop Miss A is a wonderful place on the interwebs where everything on there is pretty much $1. Pretty sure I have an entire Shop Miss A playlist. I'm gonna link that up here and also at the end of the card if you want to check out some more $1 stuff put to the test. The first thing I have is this AOA Studio Nude Soft Base Eye Primer. AOA Studio is Shop Miss A's in-house brand. If you get on the website and you're just kind of overwhelmed, you don't really have any direction, which I mean, that's the point of these videos. But if you just don't know where to start, then AOA Studio is a safe bet. So basically, this is just a liquid concealing eye primer. As far as wear goes, I feel like whenever I use this, my eyeshadows always last a really long time. Definitely is more on the dry side. So if you're someone that has really dry eyelids, I would say you probably want to spray like a hydrating setting mist or like some kind of hydrating spray beforehand, just kind of give you a little bit of slip because it does set down very fast. I do prefer using my finger to blend it out versus a brush because I feel like a brush just kind of dries it out even more. So for eyeshadow, I have the AOA Studio Eyeshadow Trio in the shade Mother Earth. I've talked about these before in previous videos. This is a newer shade. This is an all matte little trio. You can wear it more sheer, like just apply a very light amount. It's more of like a sheer wash of color, or build it up and you get more of that full on opacity. The only one that I didn't like is the dark brown because I tried to use it as eyeliner. Like I tried to smoke out my lash line with this. It's just way too sheer for that purpose. Like it just would not build up. It probably would be a pretty good shade for smoking out your outer V because I feel like where it is more on the sheer side, it's not going to be like muddy or hard to work with, hard to blend out. Overall, I really like the look that I created today. Like shades diffuse into each other very well. They're very smooth. There's no patchiness or muddiness. Like they look airbrushed. The mascara, I have a couple because you guys know I like to show as much as possible. So on this side, I have the AOA Studio Fat Lash Mascara. And on this side, I have the AOA Studio Big Boss Mascara. So first off, the Tall Lash Mascara. When I first pulled the wand out, I was just like, okay, what is this? Is this a joke? The bristles, which are very like comb-like, I guess you could say, are only on one side of the wand. So you don't have bristles wrapping around the entire applicator. And they're very short. This immediately started building up like everything. Volume, length, definition. It's a super black formula, so it makes your eyes pop. I will say it's a very wet formula. So you can see literally as soon as I start applying it and just kind of, trying to brush it through my lashes, it starts getting on my eyelids. So I'm hoping that it dries out over time and doesn't do that. It's not the best for separation, so it does have a tendency to clump, which I recommend going into like a little metal lash comb. I actually got this trick from Rose and Ben. Take a metal lash comb like this after you're done and just kind of like push it through your lashes. No matter what mascara you're using, it separates it so beautifully and just kind of gives you a more fanned out full effect. So moving over to the Big Boss Mascara. This is more of like your like CoverGirl, what's that, like Lash Blast mascara kind of wand. Like it's a very thick, chunky kind of wand. It's flexible, like it's got a little bend to it, like it's got some give. Once again, the formula is so black and intense. I actually think it's blacker than the other ones, so yeah, loving that about it. Don't get me wrong, the first layer wasn't bad at all, but when you build this up, oh, that's the ticket. It's volumizing, it's lengthening, and it's definitely more of a thickening kind of formula. I will say it's definitely more of a clumpy formula. So once again, I found salvation in this little metal lash comb. I would say the only difference is that the, what's this called, Tall Lash Mascara is more lengthening, and this one's more volumizing and thickening. But like both sides look very doll-eyed, my eyes look very open. I'm really liking these. Moving on to foundation. This is the AOA Studio Vita Glow Tinted Moisturizer with vitamin C. I have the shade Light. It's a lightweight tinted moisturizer infused with vitamin C that blends beautifully to blur imperfections. The skin tone adapting formula leaves you with glowy, smooth skin that feels hydrated and nourished. I do have quite a bit to cover up today, so you can really see what it's capable of when it comes to coverage. Yeah, Light's pretty much the only thing I could get. It's very glowy, very dewy, like it really does feel like a tinted moisturizer. I think for me, the biggest con is the blending process. Not just in blending it by itself, but like blending other products on top of it. I feel like everything kind of took longer than it should to blend out. Like it just seemed like wherever I first laid my brush down, the product wanted to stick there and not blend out as easily. It's just so sticky and heavy. Not necessarily in how it feels on the skin, like it actually feels very lightweight, but when you're blending it out, it just has such a gripping power to it, like it just doesn't want to blend out. So yeah, it melted on a lot better with my fingers, and I was really able to work in the spots that just want to stick and like grip down. Yeah, I would say if you have normal, dry, combination, or mature skin, you're probably gonna really enjoy this. I just don't love it. So for concealer, I have the AOA Studio Top Secret Concealer. I got one for my under eyes and one for bronzing actually. So for under my eyes, I got the shade Buff, and for bronzer, I got the shade Amber. This is a very thick pot concealer, and I was kind of afraid when I first felt it that it was just gonna be really drying and just not blend around. This is very full coverage on the first layers. Once again, I feel like the finger is the best method for this because it's so thick. And I do think that the blending could have been better with a different foundation. The grip of this plus the grip of the tinted moisturizer just, it didn't job the best. I would say if you have really dry under eyes, you probably want to steer clear. If you have mature under eyes, probably want to steer clear. I think this would be a really good formula for acne though. I feel like it's going to wear really, really well. I've got a really good feeling about it. The shade Amber worked out extremely well for bronzer. Again, I had some blending issues because it just wanted to stick. Like it did not want to blend out, but I don't think it's concealer. I think it's the tinted moisturizer. So if you're around my skin tone, I think you'll really enjoy this shade for bronzer. For blush, so I actually ended up using a liquid lipstick for a cream blush today. This is the AOA Studio Velvet Lips liquid lipstick. Is everything in here from AOA Studio? So the shade Chris is this really pretty, like, I can't describe things today. It's like a pink. It's just pink. So before I put any liquid lipstick on my face, I always like to test out how it's going to look on the back of my hand. So what I like to do is swatch it and then blend it out to see how it softens, because there's going to be some shades that are just too intense, or just like the formula's not going to work very well for your face. So when I see this happening where it really softens out, I give myself the green light. And this is a really pretty blush shade and a really nice formula for this. But again, I did have some blending issues with this on top of the tinted moisturizer. I had to really work at it, okay? Like it just did not want to soften out. And the thing is, like, I saw the potential in it on my hand, so I know that it has the ability to soften and really, like, you know, get kind of that blown out effect, but not on this tinted moisturizer. So on this side, I have the Amuse Silky Blush in the shade Sunsets. So they have 6 different shades and they look very cheap. No potential kind of cheap. I gotta say, I really enjoy this. I hate the packaging. It looks super like, oh, we're gonna break after like a 1-inch drop from the air, but the color of this and the formula is beautiful. And considering I was putting this onto an unset tinted moisturizer that is super sticky and tacky and very dewy, this blended on beautifully. Look at that color. Look at that. Like, ugh. So the next thing I have is the AOA Pro Volcanic Oil Absorbing Roller. This is $8 actually. Oh, what? That's $8? Why is that so expensive? I mean, it's not expensive, but I said everything's gonna be $1. So I do apologize. It's not $1, but whatever. This is trying to be like the Revlon Volcanic Oil Absorbing Roller or whatever that's called. I actually had that one, but I've not used it like one time. This is basically just something that you roll over your skin in areas where you have oil or shine, and it's supposed to completely mattify that area or just like soften it and just absorb the oil. It wasn't super dramatic. Like I had to kind of go over it a few times and, you know, really roll it on there to actually see, but it does absorb the shine. It's definitely not like powder level, but I feel like this would be really cool to throw in your purse, and instead of just packing on the layers throughout the day and like just getting cakey, this is no extra product. Like you can just roll this on and go. So this is pretty cool. Next up is highlighter. These are the AOA Studio Glow Baby Liquid Highlighters. This is probably one of the best liquid highlighter formulas I've tried, not just on the drugstore side, but also high end. They come in a little tiny tube, which is at first you're like, that's a little too small, but it's like, when are you ever gonna use an entire like full size jar of liquid highlighter? Never. So I got more in my collection, but the ones I pulled out are Afterglow, Morning Glow, and Golden Rose. I think I've got Golden Rose on this side and Morning Glow on this side. The formula is so easy to work with. Like it's not one that dries down too fast. Like a lot of highlighters, like liquid highlighters especially, you have to work fast with them or they start kind of pulling your foundation, your base apart. Not these. It literally just completely unifies and melds into your skin. Like it doesn't look like a stripe of highlighter. It looks like your skin's just glowy and radiant. Like you've been eating salads and drinking like 120 gallons of water a day. Obviously, it's going to fade a little bit throughout the day, especially if you have oily skin, but the way it fades is so even. These hold up so well on my skin. I've got expensive highlighters in my collection that don't look half as good as this. So I also got these AOA Magic Makeup Remover Sticks. So these are just Q-tips that are soaked in makeup remover. One side will go to waste, keep that in mind. So you're probably just better off, like for home use anyway, just getting some Q-tips and dipping it into some micellar water. You'd have 2 sides versus 1. I do see this being beneficial for on the go. Like if you have, actually, what would it be good for? The thing is, you'd have to use this on bare skin. So if you're doing your eye makeup before your face, then you can go in with these and clean up your like wing, or, you know, sharpen your eyeshadow on the outer edge right here. But once you have makeup on, like once you have eyeshadow on, like I tried to use this earlier, like I knew what it was going to do. Like I just wanted to see. I took one of these just to see what it would do if I put it on my eyelid, and of course it started taking off my eyeshadow. However, I am seeing a lot of girlies nowadays apply mascara before eyeshadow and like really going in at like really like closing and blinking and like getting it all over their eyelid and just taking a Q-tip. Like I've seen people like put the Q-tip in their mouth and then use their spit to remove the No. Maybe you're applying your mascara in the car, like in the parking lot before you go into work, and instead of taking a dry Q-tip that's just gonna like pull and tug your eye, like you'll have to really work with it, then I would see it, like I could see how this could be beneficial. So yeah, that is all the products I have today. So let's do a little honorable mentions. Like, what are the products I talked about that I think are actually recommend worthy? Soft base eye primer, top notch. Mascaras, I like both of these. Like, I don't know which one I like better. I recommend both of them. The concealer's really good, especially if it doesn't crease and stuff, which right now it's not. It's looking very smooth still. So yeah, and I love the shade Amber for bronzer. So yeah, oh god. Yeah, I think this is a really good under eye formula if your eyes aren't too dry. Also, to use them on acne spots and stuff, top notch. Obviously the Glow Baby liquid highlighters, I raved about these for probably a solid 8 minutes. The Muse blush, once again in the shade Sunsets. The AOA eyeshadow trio, and they have a few other shades too, so definitely check them out. Like, I feel like the mattes actually work better than the shimmers. So if you want to see more videos like this where I test out $1 makeup from Shop Miss A, then make sure you give it a big old thumbs up. Here's my entire Shop Miss A reviews playlist. You'll find tons of recommendations and also some stuff that you should probably avoid. So check that out for a lot more direction. Subscribe if you're not already. Turn the notification on to always see my stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one.